So it's been 20 years since the first Harry Potter book, The Philosopher's Stone, hit bookshelves and changed the lives of many. With this anniversary in mind, we look back at 10 of our favorite characters from the Harry Potter universe. But before we do, don't be a muggle and hit that subscribe button. Draco Malfoy. Draco Malfoy begins the books as a pretty black and white character. He mostly exists to be the bully at Hogwarts, and while that's compelling, it's his role in the later books that places him on this list. He's still a child that is torn between duty and family, and while he seems like the perfect fit to kill Dumbledore after he is chosen by Voldemort for the task, it's his fear and indecision that almost makes you feel for the guy. While he and Harry eventually do bury the hatchet, he always seems like the type of guy you can't trust. The fact that even someone as awful as Malfoy can redeem themselves shows that J.K. Rowling is a master at creating characters, and because of his eventual complexity, he ends up on this list. Bellatrix Lestrange. If there is a purely one-dimensional character in the Harry Potter books, it's Bellatrix Lestrange. She's pretty much just crazy and evil and willing to do whatever the Dark Lord asks of her. But that's not to say that she's a bad character by any stretch of the imagination. She wouldn't be on this list otherwise. The books needed a character like her, and not everyone is super complex, and considering the family she grew up in, it made sense that she was a pure blood fanatic. Her duel with Molly Weasley during the Battle of Hogwarts was a highlight of the books as well. Sirius Black. Sirius Black perhaps personifies better than anyone author J.K. Rowling's ability to write complex characters, especially considering that many write the Potter books off as children's books. Sirius Black, like few others, is introduced in the books as a villain. In The Prisoner of Azkaban, it is thought that he was the one who betrayed James and Lily Potter to Voldemort. It's at the end of that book that it's realized that Black wasn't the one who betrayed James Potter, one of his best friends. When Black is vindicated and finally able to act as the godfather he was to Harry, it warmed everyone's hearts. That is, of course, until his cousin, Bellatrix Lestrange, killed him during the Battle of the Department of Mysteries. Hagrid. If there's one member of the staff at Hogwarts that more than anyone acted as a friend to Harry, Ron, and Hermione, it's Hagrid. Like many people in the books, Hagrid had a sad sack story as a student at Hogwarts. He was framed by the then Tom Riddle for the death of Moaning Myrtle, after Riddle opened the Chamber of Secrets. Because of that, Hagrid was expelled from Hogwarts. Despite that, then teacher Albus Dumbledore saw something in the young half-giant and decided to keep him on as gameskeeper. He had a huge role, and if any of the main trio in the books ever needed help of any kind, they could always rely on Hagrid, which made him a completely integral character nonetheless. Ron Weasley. Poor Ron, the youngest of the Weasley boys, he was essentially clothed in nothing but hand-me-downs from his older brothers, most of whom had reputations that were impossible for him to live up to. It's because of that, perhaps, that he didn't really try, but considering his parents didn't even buy him his own wand, it's hard not to see why. Considering the fact that magic done with another's wand is a fraction as powerful as magic done by one's own wand, and you have to think that maybe his parents were telling him something. However, outside of a lapse of character in the Goblet of Fire, and again in the Deathly Hallows, he was always there for his best friend, and it was that support that helped Harry through a lot of the hard times. If Hermione was the go-to in times of danger, Ron was the go-to every other time, for moral support or when Harry needed someone to step in as a second in a duel. That's true friendship, and Harry couldn't have found a better friend than Ron. Hermione Granger. Hermione Granger was a Muggle-born witch who was the best in her class at Hogwarts, which was saying a lot considering she was peers/friends with the Chosen One himself, Harry Potter. Author J.K. Rowling has often said that Granger was mirrored after herself, a sort of know-it-all while she was in school. It's that personality, which was the total opposite of her eventual husband, Ron Weasley, that led many, including Rowling herself, to say that she probably should have ended up with Harry instead of Ron, especially since Ron and Hermione spent a lot of the early books constantly arguing with one another. The truth is that without Hermione, Ron and Harry would never have made it through any of the trials and adventures that they embarked and stumbled upon. It was her vast knowledge of all things magic that helped them narrowly escape death on many occasions. Severus Snape. There are several tragic figures in the Harry Potter books, but none more so than Severus Snape. His character is perhaps the most amazingly written of all the amazingly written characters, and when his motivations finally come out during the Deathly Hallows, it would make even Lord Voldemort get all misty-eyed. While he was often extremely hard on Harry because of the hatred that Snape had for his father James, he also protected him more often than not, as he saw the love of his life, Lily, in his eyes. He was often viewed as an untrustworthy antagonist in the books, so when it was finally shown that he was actually a triple agent working for Dumbledore to protect Harry and avenge the death of Lily, it shows what makes these books classics. The fact that he died to protect Harry meant he shared the same fate as his only love, Lily, Harry's mother. Albus Dumbledore. Albus Dumbledore was one of the greatest wizards of his age and/or ever, and while his story has yet to be completely fleshed out, he's still one of the most intriguing characters in the Harry Potterverse. Much of his backstory was explored in the books, especially in the Deathly Hallows, while it came as a surprise to many to learn that he initially started on a dark path. Not unlike Lord Voldemort himself, it was the error of his ways and the eventual death of his sister that helped explain why Dumbledore was such a tragic character, who seemed entirely selfless in his later years. While brief, his duel with Voldemort in the atrium at the Ministry of Magic was probably one of the most amazing parts of the films. Lord Voldemort. There's a reason that Tom Riddle, aka Lord Voldemort, is considered one of the best villains in fiction ever, despite a relatively new entry to the category. While he's evil for the sake of being evil, the reasoning behind it makes you almost feel bad for him. The son of one of the last heirs of Salazar Slytherin, he was conceived under the effects of a love potion and thus was unable to feel or understand love. It's that lack of understanding that led to Voldemort's downfall, both times, as he didn't understand how Lily Potter's love would protect her son, and in the Deathly Hallows, he didn't understand how Narcissa Malfoy could betray him because she loved her own son more than she feared or respected him. While he's attempting to infiltrate Harry Potter's mind at the end of the Order of the Phoenix, Harry Potter gets a glimpse into Voldemort's soul and realizes that he will never know love or friendship, and tells him that he does in fact feel bad for him. You're not the only one, Harry. Harry Potter. There wouldn't be a Harry Potter without, well, you guessed it, Harry Potter. Well, it has been argued by fans of the books that perhaps Harry should place lower on a list of characters, since Harry is considered to be a pretty boring protagonist by more than a few. That couldn't actually be further from the truth, as he serves as the perfect jumping-in point for readers. Here was a child who was completely unaware of magic or his role in the wizarding world until the summer before he left for Hogwarts. While one could argue, like J.K. Rowling has, that he probably should have married Hermione, he's still great because he's so relatable, and that's what makes these books as great as they are. It's that plainness that allows every other character to be so unique, and it's because of that sacrifice among the thousands he made in the books that makes him the best character in the books that bear his name. If you like Harry Potter and magic, check out our other videos.